Let's bring in right now the former federal prosecutor, Neama Rahmani, to get a little bit more on this. Neama, thank you and good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
We want to play a little bit of Giuliani on Newsmax yesterday. He addressed the fact that the Fed seized documents that have to do with his representation of Donald Trump. Let's listen.
I've never heard of someone blatantly violating the attorney-client privilege that way. And basically what they did when they took all my documents from the iCloud, they admitted that there was attorney-client privileged information there. And they decided on their own what they would use and what they wouldn't use.
So is this an example of attorney-client privilege?
No, not necessarily. And look, it's not easy to get a search warrant of an attorney office or home, but it does happen. You need sign-off from the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, which actually was Rudy Giuliani's former office that he ran, and senior officials at the Department of Justice, so the Deputy Attorney General, the number 2 official there. And in addition, a U.S. district judge signed off on this warrant. And what prosecutors do is they set up a taint team, a separate group of investigators, law enforcement, and attorneys, and they review the documents to make sure there are no attorney-client privilege documents, no attorney work product documents, because if the agents who are actually prosecuting the case access those documents, that could disqualify them from the prosecution. So it's not unheard of, but you certainly have to go through multiple steps to get Department of Justice sign-off on a warrant like this, not to mention the normal district judge approval that you need for any search warrant.
No, it's not unheard of for Michael Cohen, certainly. He had his own offices raided some years ago. And Cohen right now is talking about this, and he thinks if it actually came down to it, the former mayor would turn on Donald Trump. Cohen also says that Giuliani should start cooperating with the feds right now if he doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in prison. What's your take on that?
Well, Michael Cohen's interesting because he started by saying he would take a bullet for the former president, and ultimately he ended up regretting that statement, and he ended up serving 3 years home confinement. So he certainly came around. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Rudy Giuliani to flip on the former president. He's looking at a 5-year prison sentence at a minimum for the registration. And who knows what other evidence may be in those computers. They issued a grand jury subpoena for his assistant, and they got her computer as well. So we know that he's been linked to folks who have been laundering campaign contributions. Those have much more significant penalties. So to the extent that law enforcement can get leverage over Giuliani, the former president, for the former attorney for the former president, Donald Trump, cooperation is certainly a possibility.
I want to ask you about some new reporting on Matt Gaetz here, and bear with me because we do have a lot of new reporting to tell you about. The Daily Beast says it's obtained a confession letter reportedly written by the congressman's one-time associate Joel Greenberg in the waning months of the Trump presidency. Now, NBC News hasn't obtained or seen the letter, but Greenberg reportedly wrote it, offering Roger Stone money to help him get a pardon. It claims he and Gaetz paid for sex with multiple women, including an underage girl. Gaetz is facing a criminal probe. But a PR firm for Gaetz responded to the Daily Beast with a statement that read in part, quote, Congressman Gaetz has never paid for sex, nor has he had sex with a 17-year-old as an adult. And then Roger Stone issued a statement in part saying, I made no effort whatsoever to secure a pardon for Mr. Greenberg, and I took not a dime from him or anyone else seeking a pardon here. Why would Greenberg reportedly have written this letter?
This is very damning evidence for Congressman Gaetz. I mean, the probe is getting stronger and stronger, the evidence becoming increasing, and it's probably just a matter of time before he's charged. I mean, these are similar charges to what Jeff Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were facing, you know, where you're talking about financial transactions involving minors, essentially sex trafficking of minors, potentially across state lines. So he's looking at a potential 20 or more year sentence in federal prison, and the evidence keeps increasing. And some of his own statements to other members of Congress have been very damning as well. So every day it seems like there's more and more evidence against the congressman, and it's going to end badly for him.
Well, Neama Rahmani, thank you so much for joining us on these topics. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
President Biden is